India, it's a tropical country. So, no, I mean, even in America, kids like to play in the courtyard. I mean, of course, in New York, you may not have a courtyard and a backyard and a playground and everything. But I know that at least Montana could be having that kind of a house, isn't it? With a backyard, with a courtyard, with a forest area where you can, some lake or something like that. Bengal, almost every house, almost everyone, I was thinking it's an exaggeration, but almost every house is a small lake in front of them, smallish pond kind of. So that's your water. Then they cultivate rice. So what Prabhupada told in one class, that who is a Brahmana, who is an intellectual in the real sense, the Vedic sense, that someone who is kind of living off the grid, is not living at the mercy of anyone else. Now, this example is old, may not you may not see someone like right now, but just understand the essence of it. A landlord called a zamindar, he appreciated the services of a teacher, a brahmana, and he said, "Take me to that person. I would appreciate how nicely he's doing everything, teaching the village kids, doing priestly work, living very simply." So he went and said, "Sir, our culture tells that people like me who are merchants or capitalists with money, land, cows, grains, we should be helping you. Could you tell me how I can help you? Do you need an iPhone? Do you need a laptop? Do you need any Wi-Fi connectivity, Netflix connection? What do you need?" Now this man said, "The village sends their kids. I teach them. Me and my wife, we cultivate rice paddy in a nearby field. We have a tamarind tree. Tamarind is again a tropical tree. The pods can be used for making pickle, and the leaves also can be used. So every day my wife cooks a variety of uh, items, but mainly Bengalis, they like rice. 3 times they can eat rice. Of course, I think Andhra people also like rice. No issues with that. Andhra like dahi rice especially. In one of our yatras, we were serving Chinese, Punjabi, then Marwari, and then ice cream. No, not ice cream, but fudge, rabdi. And there was a typical Andhra crowd. And every day, and I was serving at one of the counters, and they would look at the Chinese food, they'd look at the Punjabi, and they say, "Why can't you make proper food?" And one day it was South Indian. So it was avial and dosa bhaji and dahi rice. And about 40, 50 of them, mostly parents of devotees who work in America, but their parents are here and they somehow cultivated them. And I could see the glee on their faces. They said, "Today they have come to their senses. Today it's actual food." And we were saying, dahi rice is limited, huh? Not for, not, no seconds and thirds. And they say, "Why not? The other stuff you give us 2, 3 times. Why not something which is real food?" That time I understood that in Mumbai we look at curd rice as if, just one more item. But that actually qualifies as food in Andhra. Anyway, I learned my lesson that day. So this Brahmana is saying, "My wife cooks rice, which we grow. We take the tamarind leaves and she makes some kind of a soup." And he said, "I don't need anything else." And the landlord said, "What do you mean you don't need anything else? Your home is just one sparse room, not much furniture." And he said, "No, but that's enough for me." So, someone who is expert at minimizing bodily necessities and maximizing the intellectual potential, Now, you may have so many intellectuals today, but then the whole competition is to get something, discover something, and then patent it. This is mine. You cannot touch it. You have to pay me royalty. This is all against the Brahminical principles. Like Prabhupada had the best wisdom, and the urge was if it is the best, if it is the nicest, let me share. This is the first consideration in the Brahminical mind. If something is good, why keep it selfishly? So, when you understand some of the concepts which Prabhupada has shared with us, then you can understand how fallen the world is. Otherwise, we also say, yeah, this is Kali Yuga, the dark age, dark age. How dark? It all depends on your culture. So, here we have a simple situation where a village boy, he just is sitting on some rejected cooking pots, and then his mom comes and says, don't do that. Don't you know it is inauspicious? So, again, a cultural understanding. Earthen pots, pots made from earth, they would be used for cooking. Once used, not to be used again, because outside it is all blackish soot because it is cooked on a wooden stove. So that was opulence. Prabhupada said, today you go any gentleman's house, they use plastic to eat. So where is the opulence? Here is everything so eco-friendly. You take earth, you make pots, use them, you break them. They go again back to earth, recycling at its best. So Mother Shachi is telling her son that don't sit on these rejected pots. It's considered inauspicious. And in a very sweet way, baby Nimai, child Nimai now, he tells her that there is no big deal. It's not different at all. And one of the major philosophical points that is this world divine or is it rotten? Is there true love in this world or it's all a treachery? It's all cheating. Now, please understand, every philosopher looks at the world from his own worldview, from his own lens. If the day is great, you feel, oh, I love this world, it is so beautiful. And if it is a lousy day, say, let this world go to hell. Now, the world doesn't become beautiful because you had a nice day, and the world doesn't become hellish because you were treated badly. A Vaishnav tries to balance things properly, seeing things from Krishna's perspective. If I want to use this world for my senses, it's hellish. If I want to use this world for serving Krishna, it's a golden opportunity. So, this is the background for this very nice. I love this story. We will read this 28. I'll just read 28 again. खोई संदेश अन्न जतेक माटी रविकार एहो माटी से हम माटी की भेद विचार. The mother is telling, why are you eating a dirt? And she has given him sweets. So he's saying, mother, why are you angry? You know, it's all there is mud here, and also the sweet is also a form of mud. It is just transformed. Fused rice, sweetmeats, and all other eatables are but transformations of dirt. This is dirt, that is dirt. Please consider what is the difference between them. Text 29. Mati deha mati bhaksha dekha vichari avichare deha dosh ki bolite pari. This body is a transformation of dirt, and the eatables are also a transformation of dirt. Please reflect upon this. You are blaming me without consideration. What can I say? A very, very nice, lengthy purport. This is an explanation of the Mayavad philosophy, which takes everything to be one. The necessities of the body, namely eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, are all unnecessary in spiritual life. When one is elevated to the spiritual platform, there are no more bodily necessities. And in activities pertaining to the bodily necessities, there are no spiritual considerations. In other words, the more we eat, sleep, have sex, and try to defend ourselves, the more we engage in material activities. Unfortunately, Mayavadi philosophers consider devotional activities to be bodily activities. They cannot understand the simple explanation of the Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Mam chayo vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samattityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Anyone who engages in spiritual devotional service without motivation, rendering such service for the satisfaction of the Lord, is elevated immediately to the spiritual platform, and all his activities are spiritual. Brahma Bhuyaya refers to Brahman, spiritual activities. Although Mayavadi philosophers are very eager to merge into the Brahman effulgence, they have no Brahman activities. To a certain extent, they recommend Brahman activities, which for them means engagement in studying the Vedanta and Sankhya philosophies, but their interpretations are but dry speculation. Lacking the varieties of spiritual activity, they cannot stay for long on their platform of simply studying Vedanta or Sankhya philosophy. Life is meant for varieties of enjoyment. The living entity is by nature full of an enjoying spirit, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra 1112. Anandamayo Bhyasat. In devotional service, the activities are variegated and full of enjoyment. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9.2, all devotional activities are easy to perform, susukham kartum, and are eternal and spiritual, avyayam. Since Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand this, they take it for granted that a devotee's activities, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, etc., Bhagavatam 7.5.23, are all material and therefore Maya. They also consider Krishna's advent in this universe and his activities to be Maya. Therefore, because they consider everything Maya, they are known as Mayavadis. Actually, any activities performed favorably for the satisfaction of the Lord under the direction of a spiritual master are spiritual. But for a person to disregard the order of the spiritual master and act by concoction, accepting his nonsensical activities to be spiritual, is Maya. One must achieve the favor of the Spirit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through the mercy of the spiritual master. Therefore, one must first please the spiritual master, and if he is pleased, then we should understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also pleased. But if the spiritual master is displeased by your actions, they are not spiritual. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur confirms this. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Activities that please the spiritual master must be considered spiritual, and they should be accepted as satisfying to the Lord. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the supreme spiritual master, instructed his mother about the Mayavad philosophy by saying that the body is dirt and the eatables are also dirt. He implied that everything is Maya. This is Mayavad philosophy. The philosophy of the Mayavad is defective because it maintains that everything is Maya, but the nonsense they speak. While saying that everything is Maya, the Mayavadi philosopher loses the opportunity of devotional service, and therefore his life is doomed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore advised, Mayavadi Bhashya Shunile Hoya Sarvanash, Caitanya-Caritamrta Madhya 6.169. If one accepts the Mayavad philosophy, his advancement is doomed forever. Any points for discussion, questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. So, Prabhuji,
Yes.
how can we find out our actions are pleasing or displeasing the Guru?
Okay. Srila Prabhupada again gives the example. Let's say it's a very big workshop or a very big factory or a very big farm or a very big office. There is a boss. Let us say there is a owner. Like we have Microsoft and we have Bill Gates, or we had Apple Incorporated and Steve Jobs. Now they may be having 30,000, 40,000, 80,000 employees. Who is the boss? There is one guy. Who has employed you? Technically, that boss. But does it mean that your day to day things, whether you are completing your project on time, is that personally known to the main boss? May not be the case. It could be, there could be 10, 15 layers between the chief, the owner, and the ordinary worker. But the last line of working, that is a ordinary worker, that person may have a supervisor, and the supervisor reports to his boss, it goes to his boss, and thus your activities are recorded, and you also get your monthly salary, you also get your perks, you also get bonus, promotion, whatever. A very gross example, but that's how Prabhupada introduced the concept of you don't need to worry whether you are pleasing Krishna right now or not. If you are pleasing the representative of Krishna, then Krishna should be understood to be pleased. Point number one. Now, another very ordinary dealing point in ordinary dealings. If you feel enthused for devotional service, your daily chanting, your reading, offering your food to Krishna, sharing the benefits of Krishna Bhakti with others, that is a sign that you are following the instructions of the spiritual master. And then the enthusiasm for further devotional service comes from the super soul within you. So Caitanya-Caritamrta very nicely will see to it when you come there. God is God outside, and God also is represented by the super soul inside you. And he acts like a spiritual master too, Chaitya Guru. So the enthusiasm, the determination, the tolerance, all these spiritual activities are a sign that the Supreme Lord is also pleased with you. So you get a chance to do more service that reflects on your previous service, and then you have a desire to increase the quality of your service. That is a sign that God is also pleased. So therefore, we have this combination that mm, in bhakti we have Krishna and we have uh, the spiritual master, and both of them cooperatively guide a living entity on the way back home, back to Godhead.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Like to add anything?
Prabhuji, there is a question in the chat box.
Yeah, that was the same question, I think.
No, it's a different question.
Okay, different. Sorry. Is Mayavad philosophy and impersonalism the same? Okay. Now, Mayavad, one day I had asked someone that, do Mayavadis call themselves Mayavadis? So sometimes they don't. They call themselves Vedantists, they call themselves philosophers. They don't like to be termed as Mayavadis. But because they talk about everything is Maya, 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 therefore they are called Mayavadis. So Prabhupada gave a small distinction. There are people who are somehow very much attracted to the impersonal form of Krishna. And our example for our analogy for understanding Krishna as all pervading consciousness, localized representative, and the Lord personality is sunshine, the sun planet, and the presiding personality inside that planet. So sunshine is everywhere. You may go outside the courtyard and say, okay, I can see the sunshine. But that doesn't mean you are on the sun planet. And that is so far away from actually meeting someone there. We may have a question, how can somebody live on the sun planet? It's all fiery. So Prabhupada said, look, your body is made of earth. And therefore, this planet is also called earth. And your body is fit to live on the earthly planet. But earth is just one of the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. On this planet, you can see living entities happily living in water. Isn't it true? There are living entities living on air. Now you may say, well, they come sometimes down to the tree or something. But there are some birds, maximum time they live up there in the sky. So if earth there are living entities, water there are living entities, air there are living entities, what makes you think that fire is only place where they cannot live? Now you cannot prove these things to someone, but can you? Our Devamrit Swami saw one scientific report that at 600 degrees Fahrenheit, 600 degrees Fahrenheit, there are some bacteria which live very nicely in that temperature. So that could be easily, it could be easily understood that living entities can live in any of the material elements provided material nature gives them a proper body. Point number 2 is, so therefore sunshine, which is all pervading, the sun globe, which is localized, and the personality there. So Brahman, consciousness spread everywhere, effulgence, light, that is the first level of understanding Krishna. Paramatma, Krishna as a super soul in every living entity's heart, is the localized understanding of God. And Bhagavan, the one who performs so many leelas, that is the beautiful form of Krishna. Now, what if somebody says, but still I am only attracted by the effulgence? They are called impersonalists. If you tell them, do you know there is a form of Krishna, a personal form? Oh, yeah, we know that. But I am attracted to the Brahman. They are called the positive impersonalists. They are not hating Krishna. They don't have any malice in their heart. They are not mischievous, so to say. Prabhupada is a word sometimes, mischievous, philosophically mischievous, causing mischief. But Mayavadis are those, they offend Krishna. If you say, every day you eat, sleep, pass stool, urine, you have headaches, what nonsense is that? How can you call this existence spiritual? So, well, but Krishna also must have done the same thing. You say, no, 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 no. What he did was all lila, pastimes. Oh, then these are my pastimes. You may say, come on. This is all mundane karma. You are being entangled in karma. Oh, then Krishna also has to be called entangled in karma. Don't you know Gandhari cursed him and therefore his family members had to die? Don't you know that Dashrath was cursed by one Brahmin boy and therefore he also lost the association of his son? So don't tell me that only I am entangled in karma and these personalities are all free and it's all their pastime. So try to understand. If I am doing something which is karma, then Krishna and Krishna's pure devotees are also under karma. If they are doing if what they are doing is called Leela, then this is also my Leela. There's a funny story of Radhanath Swami while he was searching on his spiritual path. He met one fellow and he said, I am God. And it was some convention, some seminar hall. And they went on arguing back and forth. After 20 minutes or so, this man said, do you know where the restroom is? And Maharaj said, well, if you are God, as you are trying to unsuccessfully convince me, God doesn't need directions. He can figure out where the restroom is. So he kept quiet. After 5 minutes, he said, "Please, it is important. It's urgent. I need to go." He said, "Find out yourself." 5 more minutes, and he said, "Please, I'm desperate." So he said, "Okay, it's on the second floor." So the man rushed outside, came back in 10 minutes. And then Maharaj began the discussion again that what kind of God is it that you are controlled by your bodily urges? You are controlled every moment. Don't you feel like that? He said, "No." So, what was this that a bodily urge made you stop this conversation and you rushed out and you were ignorant, you didn't even know where it is? He said, "Oh, that's my pastime." So, these are the people, they won't be convinced no matter what. And they offend Krishna. They call Krishna's pastimes to be activities of bondage. So that's why the negative oriented impersonalists, they are called Mayavadis. But those who are open minded, but initially they are only attracted to the Brahman effulgence, they are called impersonalists.
Prabhuji, out of ignorance, I mean, before Krishna consciousness, I'm talking, out of ignorance, if we thought like that, how can it be an offending to Krishna? I mean, they're in the ignorance, right?
In ignorance, you park your vehicle in a corner and you never look at the sign. In
Yes,
ignorance, you take a wrong left turn and the CC camera has recorded it. Can you just say that I should be excused because I was not knowing that there is no parking here, there is no left turn here?
yes, so many times I'm hearing again, I'm thinking, yeah, yeah. But because of
Ignorance is the soil in which the tree of papa or sin kind of grows. You take away the soil, the tree cannot survive. The more we are ignorant, the more the seeds of sin are everywhere in this material world. There is no way you can escape that. So what a intelligent person tries to understand, at least in the beginning, is let me gain as much wisdom as possible. So I understand these activities will give me this result, the other activities will give me that result. What about your already committed sins so far? Oh, let me get the reactions. I don't mind that. Because once you know, Prabhupada gives the example of a fan running at top speed. You switch it off. You say, now I have switched it off, but still it is running. Well, because it has momentum. Any moving machine doesn't stop immediately. Similarly, our act of sinning doesn't stop just because we start chanting Hare Krishna. But we have stopped the process of continuing sin. That's the most important part. So, for example, for my previous debts, I might have incurred so many. I don't have any record. So, if I have taken $100 from you 10 years ago, I don't have any such record. But you bring me the counterfoil. You may bring a papers that, oh, this is your signature, and you promise to pay me. So, life brings us all these small notes, and we need to pay. But devotional service is so powerful that it gives us so much of money that we may keep on paying all these people who have, like, we only took things from them. It's not like nobody gets a note which is an extra payment for something which he has not taken. So we don't suffer for, I don't suffer for your karma, you don't suffer for mine. I suffer for my karma, for whatever I have done in the past. But now I get so much of resources that I say I'll happily pay, no issues, because I'm not committing those acts again. So that is a very powerful way of dealing with understanding sin, bad karma, and everything. A devotee doesn't shy away. We don't tell Krishna that I'm a good boy, I chanted your name, now I should not have any karma. Krishna promises you won't have any future karma because all your activities now are done for my pleasure. What about the millions of activities done for selfish pleasure that you have to pay up? So, as one understanding goes, should I pray to Krishna to lift my burden? Or should I pray to Krishna to give me strong shoulders? So, bhakti is a positive oriented activity. We'll always find the prayers of Brahma, Prachetas, Prahlad. Let me continue for my suffering. I don't mind, but I want to help others. I don't care for my personal gratification. Another beautiful example is a disciple was told by his guru that since there is a flood in the nearby villages, you take this boat and carry as many people as possible and go to some safe area. So he took about 60, 70 people. And while he was rowing, he was thinking, my guru didn't tell me that I should save myself. I am doing this selfless service for others. Why didn't he tell me about my safety? About as it took him some time to take the people to the next safe area, he found that by helping others come to a safe area, he also was included. It's not like saving his body was a separate act from saving others. Simple example, but when we engage in activities of the Sankirtan movement of Mahaprabhu, please be assured your personal salvation and your personal gaining the goal of your life is included in the process of helping the Sankirtan movement. You don't need to do any. It's like you're living in a massive food distribution kitchen. You're serving a million people in an area. If you're serving millions, do you think that you will be starving there? Why would it be like that? In fact, they would tell all volunteers, you eat first because you have a whole day to work. It's like the vaccine. Those who are working in the front line, they are given the privilege. You get vaccinated first, and then you help others. Now, these are human understandings. Why would Krishna not help somebody who is so eagerly trying to help the Sankirtan movement? So that's the nutshell understanding of ignorance, karma, and further karma for devotees.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So, okay, text 30. Antare vismita shachi balila tahare, mati khaite gyan yo keshi khala tore. Astonished that the child was speaking Mayavad philosophy, Mother Shachi replied, who has taught you this philosophical speculation that justifies eating dirt? Purport. In the philosophical discourse between mother and son, when the son said that everything is one, as impersonally said, the mother replied, if everything is one, why do people in general not eat dirt, but eat the food grains produced from the dirt? Text 31. Mati ravi karan khaile deha pushti hoy, mati khaile rog hoy, deha jaya khoy. Replying to the Mayavad idea of the child philosopher, Mother Shachi said, my dear boy, if we eat earth transformed into grain, our body is nourished and it becomes strong. But if we eat dirt in its crude state, the body becomes diseased instead of nourished, and thus it is destroyed. Text 32. Mati ravi kar ghate pani bhariyani, mati pinde dhari jabe shoshi jaye pani. A very simple thing. In a water pot, which is a transformation of dirt, I can bring water very easily. But if I poured water on a lump of dirt, the lump would soak up the water and my labor would be useless. Purport. This simple philosophy propounded by Shachi Mata, even though she's a woman, can defeat the Mayavadi philosophers who speculate on oneness. The defect of Mayavad philosophy is that it does not accept the variety that is useful for practical purposes. Shachi Mata gave the example that although an earthen pot and a lump of dirt are basically one, For practical purposes, the water pot is useful, whereas the lump of dirt is useless. Sometimes scientists argue that matter and spirit are one, with no difference between them. Factually, in a higher sense, there is no difference between matter and spirit. But one should have the practical knowledge that matter, being an inferior state of existence, is useless for our spiritual blissful life, whereas spirit, being a finer state, is full of bliss. In this connection, the Bhagavatam gives the example that dirt and fire are practically one and the same. From the earth grow trees, from their wood come fire and smoke. Nevertheless, for heat, we can utilize the fire but not the earth, smoke, or wood. Therefore, for the ultimate realization of the goal of life, we are concerned with the fire of the spirit, not the dull wood or earth of matter. Text 33. आत्मा लुकाइते प्रभु बलीला ताहारे आगे के ना इहा माता ना शिखाला मोरे na shikhale more. The Lord replied to his mother, "Why did you conceal self-realization by not teaching me this practical philosophy in the beginning?" Purport. If from the beginning of life one is taught the Vaishnava philosophy of duality or variety, the monastic philosophy will not bother him very much. In reality, everything is an emanation from the Supreme Source. Janmadhyasya yataha, Srimad Bhagavatam 111. The original energy is exhibited in varieties, exactly as sunshine. The original energy emanating from the sun exhibits itself in variety as light and heat. One cannot say that light is heat or heat is light. Yet, one cannot separate one from the other. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy is Achintya Bheda Bheda, inconceivable non-separation and distinction. Although there is an affinity between the two physical manifestations, light and heat, there is also a difference between them. Similarly, although the whole cosmic manifestation is the Lord's energy, the energy is nevertheless exhibited in varieties of manifestations. Ebe se janilai aramati na khaiba, kshuda lage jabe tabe tomarasta na piba. The child is replying now. Now that I can understand this philosophy, no more shall I eat dirt. Whenever I am hungry, I shall suck your breast and drink your breast milk. Etabali jananira kolete chadiya, stanapana kare prabhu ishata hasiya. After saying this, the Lord, smiling slightly, climbed on the lap of his mother and sucked her breast. Ei mate nana chale aishwarya dekhai, balya bhava prakatiya paschata lukai. Thus, under various excuses, the Lord exhibited his opulences as much as possible in his childhood. And later, after exhibiting such opulences, he hid himself. I will stop here. This will give rise to another philosophical point through another nice story. So, the understanding is understanding Krishna is like understanding the sun. Right now, outside your homes in Richmond, it's almost 8:30, so it is dark night. Here in Mumbai, the sun is about to show its effulgence. How does the sun rise and set? Does it take our permission? Does it ask us that, was I okay yesterday? It was too much of sunlight? No. The sun is its own authority. When it starts rising, you can never tell it to stop. When it starts to set, you can't say, I command you, don't set. No. So Krishna, by his own sweet will, exhibits himself. And when he exhibits, you can't tell him to stop. You can't tell him that don't marry so many wives. Don't do this like this. Don't do this like that. What is the meaning of being a supreme controller if others control you? Similarly, today people say, why is God not coming today? Look at the mess the world is in. The first understanding in Vaishnava understanding is You cannot control God. So whenever Krishna appears, we take it as, oh, that is Krishna's supreme benediction. So a very simple statement that the Lord is exhibiting his opulences and later he hides himself. So his exhibition as well as his hiding it are both considered an opulence. In the Ramayana, we have Lord Ramchandra crying incessantly. My wife is gone. What do I do? Uh, whom do I ask? Who will help me? And somebody say, why is he like a crybaby, crying all the time? Oh, there is a ocean in front of me, and I cannot cross it. And suddenly, in anger, he says, if the ocean doesn't give me way, I will soak it. I'll dry it up. And he picks up a bow and arrow. And they say, my Lord, please, please, do not be so angry. Now, you and me may get angry. We do get angry a lot. So, if you think that you're getting angry and Ram getting angry are the same, take a glass of water or maybe half a glass of water. Keep it on your table and look at it with anger and make it boil. What to speak of boiling? You can't even make it a little bit hot. If that would be the case, there would be no need for heaters. With all the snow falling everywhere, you just look at with anger on a bucket of water and lo, your water for your bath is ready. But when Ram actually showed that anger, the ocean began to boil. So, the Lord exhibiting his opulence, the Lord not exhibiting his opulence, both are to be considered as a pastime. But for you and me, let's say there is a lunatic person, a crazy person. He cries all day. And you may say, why is he crying? You may say, oh, some mental issues, some problem. So the crying is a sign that this person is mentally unsound. One day, after crying for months and months, the person starts laughing loudly. Do you think that means he has been cured? The crying is a sign of madness. The laughing also is a sign of madness. He has not been cured. He's not taking any treatment. So, materially speaking, somebody saying, I'm so happy, I'm so happy, I'm so happy, is considered mad. And somebody saying, I'm so sad, he's equally mad. Somebody saying, I'm very proud, materially speaking, mad. Oh, I'm very humble, I'm so humble, you won't find any humbler person more than me. That also is madness. Oh, I'm so poor, madness. Oh, I'm so rich, madness. One disciple wrote to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I am the most fallen disciple you may ever have. Prabhupada said, you are not the most anything. The extremes, the biggest, the smallest, the largest, they're all taken by Krishna. He is the ultimate in all things. He is smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. When Krishna wants to be humble, in Yudhishthira Maharaj's fire sacrifice, Ratsyo Yagya, he washes the feet of every visitor who comes there. Will you and me ever like to do that service for thousands and thousands of people? No. But when he wants to show his pride, he can do it. So therefore, whatever he shows is not considered being proud, being humble, being dejected, being disappointed. It is all considered lila. But what a conditioned soul does, because the building block of any material emotion comes from Maya potency, it doesn't have any big significant thing. So Prabhupada said, you're not the most anything, you're simply insignificant. And that's what is a safe place for us to think about. We follow in the footsteps of Haridas Thakur, who's telling the Lord, Mahaprabhu tells him, please don't leave, please don't leave. He said, I'm just like an insect. If an insect dies, does it make headlines in the world's newspapers? That is his mindset. But Mahaprabhu tells him, Haridas, you are the crest jewel of humanity. So when a Vaishnava thinks himself or herself as very insignificant, it attracts Krishna's heart. And then Krishna makes that person the jewel of humanity. We have about 5 minutes for any feedback, question, answers.
So, Prabhuji, Gaur Purnima is coming month ending. So,
Yes.
can you just briefly tell us, like, what should be our mood preparing for the festival?
Okay. So we have begun with the reading of Mahaprabhu's childhood pastimes 3-4 Tuesdays ago. That means a month and a half ago, we actually read through the appearance of Mahaprabhu. So number one, all of those who are not yet comfortable with that, you can go to chapter 13, and after chapter 13 of after chapter 13 you can also go to chapter 14 of the Caitanya-Caritamrta, and